Okay, we're going to solve the following problem. A manufacturer of widgets finds the following relationship between the price and the weekly demand for the widgets. So this is x equals f of p equals 500 times the square root of 9,000 minus 30p for prices between 56.2 and 264. The goal of the problem is to find the absolute maximum and absolute minimum of revenue. So we need to step back and think about what we're trying to do. Well, first, we need to find the revenue equation. We're trying to find an absolute maximum and absolute minimum on this closed interval between 56.2 and 264. The way we do that is we say to ourselves, let's find critical numbers, and any critical number and we take all critical numbers between 56.2 and 264. And then we evaluate revenue at 56.2, any critical numbers in that domain, and 264. The largest revenue is the absolute maximum, and the smallest revenue is the absolute minimum. So again, find the revenue equation, find critical numbers of the revenue equation, and then evaluate that revenue equation. Okay, so what do we have? Let's see here. So let's write down our revenue equation. R of P is equal to P times F of P, which is 500P times the square root of 9,000 minus 30p. All right, so we're going to find critical numbers. So we take the derivative. It's going to be a little messy. We get 500 times the square root of 9,000 minus 30p plus 500p times 1 over 2. We get a negative 30 in the middle, so we get negative 30. I'm doing this a little bit haphazardly. 2, we'll talk about it in a second, 9,000 minus 30p. What did I do? I used the chain rule on this square root. So the derivative is 1 over 2 square root of 9,000 minus 30p times the derivative of the inside function, which is negative 30. So that's where that came from. Okay, so we're going to set this equal to 0. Sorry about that. Set that equal to 0, and we get 0 equals 500 times the square root of 9,000 minus 30p minus, I'm going to leave my 500 there, so I'm going to leave minus 500 times 30 times p all over 2 square root of 9,000 minus 30p. Okay, now when we see this, we've got these square roots, which we don't really like, makes it hard to solve. But I can see that if I multiply both sides by square root of 9,000 minus 30p, this square root in the denominator is going to disappear, and this one is just going to become 9,000 minus 30p. At the same time, I'm going to get rid of these 500s by dividing both sides by 500, and we get 0 equals 9,000 minus 30p. And we've got this is disappearing, the 500, we divided both sides, we have 30 over 2, so that's minus 15p. So that's 45p equals 9,000, p equals, let's see, that's 200. So that's my critical number. Okay, so that's between 56.2 and 264. So we need to evaluate our revenue function at 56.2, evaluate our revenue function at 200, and evaluate our revenue function at 264. All right, so we've got some calculator work to do. Pull out my calculator, take a look. So we got 56.2, so we have 500 times 56.2 times the square root of 9,000 minus 30 times 56.2. So the revenue at 56.2 is 2,403,166. All right, let's do 200. So that's 500 times 200 times square root of 9,000 minus 30 times 200. We get revenue of 5,477,226. And let's do 264, so that's 500 times 264 times the square root of 9,000 minus 30 times 264, and I get 4,337,963. Okay, so those are our revenues. In hindsight, Excel seems like it might have been nicer to do these calculations, but I did them. So the absolute maximum is the biggest of these, 5,477,226, and the absolute minimum is the smallest, 2,403,166. Moment of truth, submit, we've got the correct answer.